Hey everyone, Mary Ellen Benakins, Stu Jennings. Hi Stu, how are you today?
Hi, Mary Ellen. I'm doing fine. How are you?
Great. We're the real estate ladies of North Atlanta, and today we have some really fun stuff to talk about. So, we're going to talk about new construction, buying new construction homes in the North Atlanta area, which is one of my favorite topics. We're also going to talk about a new community called Courtyards at Traditions by Traiton Homes, and that's incoming. We're going to talk about what we love about North Atlanta, which is awesome bike trails. And then we're going to talk about the design tip of the day, which is choose modern appliances, which I think everyone needs to hear. I have some things about that I'd like to discuss. So we'll talk about that. All right, so let's dig in about buying new construction in North Atlanta.
Well, let's first talk about the process. Like when you first start thinking about wanting to build a home, what should the process be? And the first thing you want to do is do your homework, do some research on who the builders are and the communities that are being built in the area if you so, want to be in a community. What you want to do is identify reputable builders in the North Atlanta area, Alpharetta, Milton, Roswell, Cumming. And you want to look at these communities or look for communities with the amenities that fit your lifestyle and the home styles that you need. So are you looking for something with a master on Main, an over 55? Are you looking for something that's, like an estate type of a home with, 5,000 plus square feet? Do you want a swim tennis community? Do you want something that sits on a golf course? So you need to start analyzing what it is that you're looking for and, make your list of your must-haves as the buyer, maybe 10 items that are really important to you, whether it's kids' schools, location, amenities, the size of the home, master on the main, a small yard, a big yard, 3-car garage, 2-car garage. Write all those things down. Then what you want to do is after you've done your research, identified a few builders that are building in the area that you want to be in, you might want to take a look at the lots and the floor plans that are available. Builders will often pre-select certain lots for certain floor plans and get them permitted that way. And they will only release so many sites at a given time. So maybe they'll release 5 at a time, that sort of thing. So you have to realize that this makes their building process much more efficient. It also helps with the permitting process with the county and the city. And it does allow you to have some opportunity for semi-customization, but different lot premiums do apply to different lots based upon their location, the size of the lot, what they back up to in the community, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, interesting.
Very interesting. So number 3 on my list is to think about your financing. You want to secure your financing up front to make sure that you're staying within your budget. And so many builders do have preferred lenders. They will give you some benefits, such as some closing costs when your property is finished and can close. They might not have the most competitive rates though, because there is no such thing as a free lunch in this world. So there's a trade-off on what they're going to give you. So you might want to compare those rates of the preferred lenders from the builders with outside lenders. There's pros and cons both ways, and we can do a whole separate podcast on the pros and cons of using different types of lenders in those situations.
Too, I have to say, like I've always really had a difficult time understanding how builders kind of make you use their lender because they offer all this stuff, but then your interest rate is too high. So that's why you really have to do your research. So my suggestion sometimes is to go with the builder's lender and the great perks you get with that, and then go refinance. That's my solution, because I can tell you a story of my daughter and son-in-law. They bought a new construction and they wanted to use their lender, but the builder lender was giving them all these extra things, extra updates, an extra this, an extra that. But the interest rate was just a tidbit higher, even though they have amazing credit. So they went with that because they were getting all the benefit, and then they went and refinanced. So there you go. I mean, that's the solution to that too. So you really have to look at what benefits you and how that benefits you. So
right. So your next step after you've said, okay, this is the community I want, this is the builder, the community that I want, the floor plan that I want, and I'm really interested in this particular lot or site plan. So unlike resale homes that, when we work with a buyer and a seller, we use the Georgia Association of Realtor, forms, but builders have their own forms. So your purchase agreement that you have with, a builder is going to be the builder's own forms. And those forms are fine. Don't be afraid of them, but they do favor the builder. So you might want to have your real estate agent review the forms in advance and, the contract before you sign it. Make sure you understand what you're signing.
Yeah, and they're really, really long. They're like 50 pages long. And it's like our contract is like 8 pages long. So it just has a lot of things in there. And you cannot change anything in there. So I know that people say, oh, I can ask for this or ask no.
Yeah. Now you will be able to select certain options because say a certain floor plan has, option, 1, 2, or 3, depending on how you want the master bedroom layout to be. You can pick, maybe 2 or 3 options on a particular, that's just an example. Or maybe one has an additional porch you could put on the back of the plan, or one has an option for a 3-car garage versus a 2. So some of those structural changes, you do have to pay for those design options up front as of the time that you're signing the purchase agreement, in addition to whatever down payment they're requiring as of signing. Now, you will be able to make a design appointment after that, after you've signed and you're under contract, so that you can meet with at their design center or with their designer if the design center's at their sample home, so that you can select your cabinets, select some flooring, appliances, some upgrades. Builders do limit the customization, and some offer a lot more options than others. It really depends upon the builder.
I will say though too, Sue, is builders ask for a lot more earnest money than if you do a resale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they dictate. It could be on a say on a $500,000 property. Usually you could get away with doing a resale with $5,000 in earnest money. They're probably going to ask for close to 20. So put that into effect too. If you don't have a lot of cash lying around, find out before you visit that community, knowing what they're like. Reach out to your agent and find out what's the earnest money, what's the process, because every builder has their own process. So I think it's really important that you know that what their process is.
Right.
So just kind of add that in.
And sometimes it can benefit you to buy, an existing home in that subdivision that's up for resale, rather than spending the money for, a totally new construction property that's going to take maybe, 9 months to a year to build, maybe less than that. There can be building delays that can extend things if there's some supply chain issues or anything like that. These are all questions that you want to ask. It used to be years ago that you could get a slab home up in 5 months' time if it was the permits had all been pulled in advance of signing the purchase agreement. If it was a basement home, it was 6 months or more. Townhouses actually can take a little bit longer because they're building, 5+ units in a building itself. And so that slows the process down. So don't think just because you're purchasing a new construction townhome, it's going to be quick. It actually could take longer. So you have to have, a backup plan for where you're going to live in the event that things do take a little bit longer. But throughout your, expected 6 to 12 month completion process, there are going to be various construction and city and county inspections that will take place. You can also, at a certain point in your contract, you will be allowed to schedule your own independent contractor for inspections. We do have a company we do recommend that is House Masters Home Inspections. And they will look at everything. They can look at foundation, they can look at framing, they can do a pre-drywall, they can do a final walkthrough inspection as well. You will also be scheduled through your builder for different inspections during the same time frame. And so the builder will have stipulations of when you're allowed to bring in your independent inspector versus just doing the walkthroughs with them. Remember, the cities and the counties are on top of these builders all the time and making sure that they are, staying to code and everything else. So rest assured, there are other eyes on this other than just your builder. You will have the opportunity to do a final walkthrough prior to closing on your property. You can identify any issues, put blue tape on any, paint issues or, damage in a wood frame or something like that, or if a window needs to be adjusted, you just blue tape it and the builder will fix it. And closing basically occurs when the property is complete and they have CO from the city or the county. But this is just a process that you have to go through, and you really do need to be respectful of that process and understand it up front so that you can be patient. And
yeah, and there's a lot of different rules too. Like they use different contracts, they have different rules there. So you really want to have a professional. You just don't want to go to a new construction place and buy a house because they're not representing you.
Right.
They're representing the builder. So they're going to make everything builder heavy, right? When you have an agent, they can go through everything with you to help you and guide you in the right direction on that. So, and then some lots okay, when you're purchasing, some lots are going to have like a higher price point. You know what I mean? It's going to be $10,000 more if you have this lot instead of that lot, and
premium.
Lot premiums, and there's just so many different things you have to know. And another thing that comes up too, when you're in a brand new subdivision and it's got an HOA, they're going to make you put, a good amount of money inside the little petty fund. So even though the HOA might be $150 a month or whatever, they're going to ask an initiation fee of $2,500.
Yeah, so those are reserves. They generally go towards reserves, and you want the HOA to have those reserves because it's a financial stability thing as far as managing the budget and everything else in case, they need to be able to cover insurance costs and everything else. And so those reserves are very important.
You got to also make sure of what the HOA is covering. A lot of places now are they're covering your yard, but they're not covering your plants or your mulch or whatever. So just make sure it's very cut and dry of what an HOA fee costs, what it includes, and what are you responsible for. Because some will include garbage and some will include water and some won't. And it's just, it's really, you have to be mindful and get that information before.
And the on-site agent or the builder should be upfront with you and should be very willing to share that budget with you so that you can see, what's in the plan and how they're managing it financially.
Yeah.
One thing that I do often recommend to buyers that they want new construction, but they don't want to wait the 6 to 12 months, is find a community that has a spec home that's sitting in inventory that's been completed already. Sometimes these homes were started out as, something where it was under contract. I had a purchase agreement on it with a buyer that for whatever reason couldn't, complete the sale. And so the builder ended up getting that home back on their books. Also, builders are allowed to, according to their financing arrangements with their banks and so forth, they are allowed to build a certain number of specs at a given time and get those homes started. And then sometimes those are purchased during the process. So maybe it's, 2 to 3 months away from completion as opposed to waiting for something that's 6 to 12 months out. So you might want to look at a spec home. Now, the difference there is they will probably have pre-selected finishes that you need to accept. Sometimes you could pick a carpet color or something like that is easy to change, the builder to change at the last moment. But if it's something like cabinets that have to be ordered much farther in advance than, say, a roll of carpet would be, you need to accept those cabinet colors. So, that's an option. Spec homes was they're move-in ready. If you're looking at something that's like a Toll Brothers or a Pulte or O'Dwyer or some of these others, those are considered semi-custom. And, you do have a lot of flexibility on what your options are for different floor plans, but it can take 6 to 12 months to build. And then the third category is fully custom, where they usually take more than 12 months, usually closer to 18 months to 24 months. Because they require a lot of involvement on your part, a lot of time on your part, because every step of the way is a decision you have to make. It's not 1 million decisions, it's 3 million decisions. And it can be very, very rewarding for those people that have built a home in the past that was semi-custom or, in a newer community. But when you build fully custom, every decision is yours. And it can be overwhelming for some people. It's not for everybody. If that's something you're interested in, give me a call. I've done it. I do recommend it if you have, the certain patience and budget to handle something like that.
There's always something getting. All right. So I want to talk about one of my little pet peeves about new construction and model homes and signs outside the door.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. So basically when you're driving by a new construction, it'll say from the 500s. And then you walk in and the houses are 700 and above. Right. So like they just want to grab you to come into the model. And then you go into the model and it's like, the home is supposed to be 500,000, but if you bought this specific home, it would be 700,000. Okay. Right. That's not going to work. Right.
Right.
And I can tell you a story that I just was talking to a builder just last week, and it was a townhouse community. And he said, there's stuff in the model home that we can't even offer our people. Right. Like we can't offer that to build that. And right. I'm like, they're like, that's just not the right way to present ourselves.
Well, supply chain issues, sometimes things go out of stock.
Of course.
Their suppliers no longer manufacture that particular door style or something like that. So, and that you'll often see where a model home in a community will move down the street, farther down into the subdivision as the subdivision gets built. And that's part of the reason why. Because different things do become, unavailable, and the builder has to stay current. So the one thing, I ran into this situation, and just like what Mary Ellen's example was, this one particular home community, estate homes from the 900s, there, by the time you added in the lot premium and, you want this, you want that, okay. None of those homeowners were getting in under like 1.4, 1.5 million. Yet the sign out at the street said from the 900s. So that's something you just have to be careful of.
I will tell you some kind of advantage. If you get into a community when it's in the beginning of the community, as they sell so many homes, they raise the prices. So you have instant equity. So my suggestion is if you're looking at a new community, get in early, because either the first one in or the last one out, because usually they give a deal on the last house if it's so that every certain amount of homes that they sell, they up the price up. They up the price up. Right. Certain months, they up the prices up.
It's
So
usually when the builder sells 5 homes, like in a townhouse community in particular, you will see this. You'll see it in small single home communities. Every time they sell 5 homes, the price will go up. So that's part of the reason why that sign isn't current any longer. But when you're looking at these builder contracts, one of the things I really want to emphasize to people is you need to look at what their cancellation policy states. You need to read it and you need to understand it, because if you cancel, I can tell you with pretty much certainty that you're going to lose all of your deposit
that's
money.
it. Mhm.
And the other thing you need to look at too is escalation clauses. You know, we're saying it could be 6 months to 12 months to build your home.
Mhm.
Well, over 6 to 12 months, the cost of lumber, for instance, can really vary and it can go up. And so make sure you understand what the escalation clause is in your contract as to how it's going to impact you and what the price is of your, going to be of your new home, because you want to make sure you're not going to blow right through your budget. So those are things you really need to be cautious about. You also need to be cautious about upgrade costs. Builders do charge premiums for upgrades. Compare the pricing with outside vendors, because maybe it's something you could do after you close on the property. You could do that upgrade and save a lot of money. Keep in mind, we say it's a 6 to 12 month window to build this home. That's a 6-month swing. What's causing that swing? Delays can cause those swings. Weather, labor shortages, supply chain issues. These things all push back completion dates. The other thing you want to look at and be cautious of when you're signing a contract for new construction is what is the warranty and how is quality going to be controlled with your project. Make sure you get a copy of the full warranty that the builder offers. And, also make sure you do have a home inspector look at the property to check for any construction defects. Also, remember, we've talked about this many times, HOA restrictions. Make sure you understand what the HOA will allow, won't allow. I mean, HOAs are in place to keep your community pretty and to keep your property values up. So make sure you are comfortable with the rules on landscaping, on home modifications, and on rentals, because a lot of rentals are capped in communities.
Yes.
So the best way to avoid any of these issues is hire a competent real estate agent. They are experienced with these things. They can help you get the best deal. They can help you negotiate the whole transaction and avoid costly mistakes when you're buying new construction in the North Atlanta area.
Now, I want to ask our viewers, have you ever bought a new construction home and what was your experience? I always like to hear about experiences from everybody else on buying a new construction home. I've bought multiple new construction homes. I like to go in that I like to have a fresh house. I mean, I'm a little new construction snob. So anyway,
I am too. I admit it.
I admit it. I like to move in a house and have, it my own. So that's just me.
Right.
But anyway, I'd love to hear your experiences. And now that we've talked about new construction, you want to dig into our subdivision that we're going to talk about today, which is Courtyards at a Traditions by Traiton Homes. And Sue, you're going to talk a little bit about that while I grab
my
information.
My computer's giving me a few fits at the moment. 1 second.
Oh, a few.
Okay.
So, a few. Here we go.
There we go. So Courtyards at Traditions by Traiton Homes is nestled in a premier Cumming location. It's at Majors Road and Highway 9. It is a 55 plus community. It's an age restricted community. Courtyards at Traditions is just minutes from the area's best shopping, dining, recreation, and healthcare facilities. This new 55 plus community will feature 42 thoughtfully designed ranch homes offering 6 different floor plans to choose from, all with beautiful and functional features, including ample storage space, 2 to 3 car garages, 10-foot ceilings, gourmet kitchens, large islands, luxurious owner suites, bonus room options, and optional second levels for even more living space. In addition, each home will boast its own personal courtyard, perfect for planting your own garden, entertaining guests, and so much more. Lawn care is included at the courtyards at Traditions. The community is ideally located just minutes from Georgia 400 and has outstanding access to shopping, dining, social activities, trails, and entertainment, including our favorite Fowler Park.
Yes, we do love that.
It's close to the collections at Forsyth. You have easy access to Avalon for shopping, Vickery Village. The Forsyth County YMCA is close by, as is One Life Fitness. Forsyth County also has a ton of golf courses, festivals, local attractions, and you're close to Lake Lanier as well. Prices in the community start at $578, $500 and go up into the low 600s. Homes are from 1728 to 2052 in square feet, and they feature 2 to 3 bedrooms, 2 to 3 garages, 2.5 bathrooms, and they are 1-story homes. The sales office address is 7220 Majors Road in Cumming, Georgia.
Perfect. Thank you for that information. So those are great 55 and older communities, which are popping up everywhere in this area. So, all right, the next thing we're going to do is talk about what we love about North Atlanta, which digs into bike trails. So there's so many great bike trails here and places to exercise.
Yeah, so they're also, you can put on your phone apps for finding bike trails anywhere, whether it's this in Georgia or Tennessee or, anywhere up and down the East Coast. But that's why I just wanted to highlight a few here that really are beautiful as far as the scenery. They give you a little bit of challenge, but they're accessible. They're easy to get on. And the first one, the most popular one for me, is the Big Creek Greenway. This runs from Alpharetta up into Forsyth County. The length is about 26 miles long. And the surface is paved. I believe there might be a portion of that is boardwalk, but you can ride on it. I have. And the highlight of this is it's a multi-use trail that winds through wooded areas, wetlands, and here it says boardwalks, making it a peaceful and scenic ride.
Yes, and they're redoing that whole area in Forsyth County. They're widening the roads, so they actually moved the greenway and the boardwalks and everything like that. So that was a big project there. I can tell you that.
Yeah. So the reason why they had boardwalks was because there were some wetlands, and so the boardwalks take you up and above the wetlands. But now in some areas they are paving those so that you're actually on like these elevated bridges and so forth, so that you can continue to ride at, even if we've had a heavy rainstorm, it doesn't matter because you're not, the trail isn't going to be washed out.
Yes.
So the second most popular bike trail in the area is the Silver Comet Trail. A lot of you probably heard about this. It goes from Smyrna, Georgia to Alabama. It's 61.5 miles in length.
You can actually get to Alabama riding your bike.
Yes, you can. You can.
Georgia to Alabama riding your bike.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's what floats your boat, go for it.
Go for it.
This is a long distance favorite on this paved trail. It starts in Smyrna, extends to Alabama, and it offers a very smooth ride through forests and open countryside.
Nice.
The third one on my list is in Lithonia, which is on the east side of Atlanta, isn't it? Did I say that wrong? But anyway, it's Arabia Mountain Path. It's 33 miles long. The surface is also paved, and it's a stunning trail that takes you through past different lakes and crops and so forth. And it's very scenic through with a view of the mountains. The fourth one on my list is Sawney Creek Greenway. It's in Sawney. It's about 4 miles long. It is paved, but does have some boardwalks. Goes through wooded areas, marshlands, and parks, and has access to the Sawney Town Center area.
Yep.
There is number 5 is the Silver Comet Connector in Cobb County. This is only about 2 miles long, but it does connect to the full Silver Comet Trail. It's paved. And so it connects it over to the Atlanta Beltline, which is another fantastic place to ride your bike. Number 6 on my list is in Kennesaw. It's called Noonday Creek Trail. It's about 9 miles long, but they're planning on extending this trail. It's paved. It goes through Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park, which is really pretty. And it connects to the Kennesaw Town Center there.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So there's something for everybody in Atlanta. So what we love about North Atlanta is the bike trails. And there's so many of them. And you actually can go from Georgia to Alabama if you really want to. If you want to ride 63 miles, 61 miles, there you go. All right.
I grew up in Philadelphia, and people used to take their bike from Philadelphia and ride to the Jersey Shore. I mean, that was like 60 miles. Yeah.
There you go. So ask our viewers, do you bike ride? Do you like bike trails? What's your thought on bike riding? So
I also want to know what's your favorite bike shop? Because I've visited different bike shops in the area, and I'd like to know which one you prefer and why.
And I have another question: electric bike, semi-electric bike, or regular bike? There you go.
Yeah.
Those electric bikes are fun.
They're fun. And here's another little side tidbit for people that like bicycles. Vermont Bicycle Tours is a company where you can bike all through Europe on different tours through Europe. And they're very highly rated. They get great reviews, and they offer different types of bikes. Some are electric, some are not, as to where you'll be riding on your particular trip. So think about that one. That's an exciting one too.
All right. So then we dig into the design tip of the day, which is choose modern appliances, which is so cool. All right, go ahead, Sue. I have a question for you after.
So all of these appliances now have Wi-Fi connectivity. Whether it's your refrigerator, it's now a smart refrigerator. Your dishwasher or dishwashers, they have smart connectivity also. You can, use touch screens. You can use internal cameras to track groceries, suggest recipes, things like that. Induction cooktops are really hot right now. Literally hot. Yeah.
They're hot.
But they do offer precise temperature control, faster heating, and enhanced safety. So those are key to think about. Smart ovens. Also, ovens are not just regular ovens. Some are for air frying, some are convection baking, and some you can control through your smartphone app also. Very, very interesting. For faster cooking, you might want to consider, not just the traditional microwave, but maybe a microwave drawer. A lot of these microwaves are all made by Sharp, but if you want to save some wall space, maybe consider putting a drawer in an island, for instance. It provides a sleek built-in look, and, just is a great look to put a microwave in a drawer in your island. Dishwashers now have smart sensors. Some of them have crystal dry so that they, optimize water usage and adjust cycles for the best, heating and, and cleaning performance of the dishwasher, as well as for drying. Blenders are another thing that you can get a variety of different types of blenders, whether you're making soups, immersion blenders, or smoothies. That's a different type of blender, or sauces. A lot of people have started using Instapots. They're kind of replacing slow cookers. So they're sort of like pressure cookers, and you can cook your rice in no time at all. Built-in coffee makers are making a big hit. Building them into your cabinetry is very, very popular so that you can get barista quality drinks at home. And wine fridges are another one that are very, very popular. Even putting a wine fridge or a beverage fridge in your outdoor kitchen is very popular. Smart faucets offer touchless operation. Quiet range hoods are very popular. They have auto sensing technology to improve the air quality. And there are also outdoor rated, regular under counter refrigerators you might want to consider. There's all different types of appliances. I just purchased a stackable washer and dryer. It's got the most amazing touch screen on it. And what's nice is the touch screen is between the lower unit, which is the washer, and the upper unit, which is the dryer, so that I can just use a swipe of a finger and change the controls on the front of my washer and dryer. It's very, very cool.
Yes. Well, that's really good. All right. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
Like, don't you see all these new retro colored appliances? Oh my God, like hot pink, like purple, like green, blue. What are you thinking about those?
I think they're very cool looking, but they're not real budget friendly, frankly.
Yes, I think so too. I think they're really cool. And then you see like all these people like with, this, it kind of reminds us of like being brought up, those like, what was avocado that our parents had?
Harvest gold, avocado green, yeah. Harvest gold.
There you go. All right. So
ugly.
Have a laugh. What's your favorite appliance? We want to know from our or your favorite smart appliance nowadays. So put it down in the comments. We'd love to know about that. So today we had so much fun. We talked about new construction. How could you not like new construction? We talked about the Courtyards at Traditions, which is a 55 and older community in Cumming by Traiton Homes, right by Fowler Park. We also talked about what we love about North Atlanta is awesome bike trails. And then we talked about modern appliances. So let us know what you like and follow us on social media. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.